Alrighty chaps, it appears that you're quite fond of the hardtop. Actually you were quite fond of the Gemini too, but I'm having a love-hate relationship with that currently, so I've decided to do this instead. So I have actually been to one of my great sources of consumables, and that is Lonsdale Paints, down in Adelaide, down in South Australia. So I bought myself some Action Gel. I wanted to dabble with a few of these things, so I've also bought some Rust Blast. This is also a type of rust converter. So these are my two favourites, along with citric acid. I did read one comment about putting a kiddie pool and all the stuff, but it's just not practical. I've also got myself some Mechanical Advantage. These are giant coral wheels, strip discs, whatever you want to call them. And because I sold every last thing I had in the option before, I don't have anything anymore, so I have to buy new stuff again. So, and I've got a slightly smaller one for the drill. I'm just trialling this stuff. This is more, I am trade qualified, but I'm also kind of in a backyard now, so it's funny how life gets you. So this is sort of, if you're dealing with this at home, you can also get this stuff and try it the way I'm doing it. And if it doesn't work, well, you know what not to do. I also went to Tail Tools and got a Detroit sander, polisher. I've been perusing, and actually that $99 one is the cheapest one by far anywhere. So Tail Tools, you can get yourself a sander polisher for $100. That's my style. And I bought a bag of rags and some gloves for this wonderful stuff, because even though it's not good for you, you still don't want loads of it on your skin, because it does absorb away in. So I just sort of show you what I've got. We're going to have a close look at the quarter panel on the other side, because I have a suspicion that this stuff isn't actually going to be enough to get all the rust off, because you do need to rip it off a little bit. And these purple wheels, from my experience, and I've had some, are the strongest and best and last longer than all the rest. And it's funny, that all rhymed. So we're going to cut you here, jump over the other side. We'll have a close look at this quarter panel, because it is a bit, how's your father? Alright. I don't actually know if this is going to show up on camera, but I did have a little bit of a dabble the other day with father. And you know, there is some potential here, but if I get you real close, focus. It's not really going to focus too well. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit. There you go. It is pretty gnarly. I mean, I know that that's going to be clean steel, so we're not going to have a completely rusted quarter panel, because all of this will be steel. It'll be nice. But all of this, and that'll be about as fun as taking a brick to the face. Also, when patinaing like models and stuff, rust is not one colour, it's a multitude of colours for those modelling at home. Anyway, moving right along, get back to the rust, as we'll call it. What I'm going to do is, I'll probably do this in stages. Set up a couple. I'm going to get a couple of rags, right? And I'm going to soak them in different sort of rust converters and let it sit, soaking on, and then come back at certain times and see how it goes. And then I'm also going to, I'm going to do maybe this area with Rust Blast, and I'll do this area with Action Gel, and maybe I'll do this area with the big, grinding wheel off the polisher. So we'll try a couple of different methods on this here quarter panel, and we'll pick the best. Ultimately, it is going to take a fair bit of doing to get this back to square one, because that is gnarly. And I know people love etch primer, but etch primer is only good for 6 months indoors. It is not something you put on a car and then put it outside. even epoxy primer like Epitech, that's good, but only if it's on really thick. The weather has this pretty good effect of just taking everything off, and yeah. And for those playing home, do not bare metal it and then leave it. Always put something decent, any paint, no matter what it is, put something on the bare steel. Don't just leave it bare, because that is dumb. Dumb! But you can see it was all etched at some point, but being outside is not done a power of good. And that's the original colour right there. Pretty sure that's copper bronze. Could be walnut glow. Because it's an XA, it probably is walnut glow. They're pretty close in the family as far as colours go. Alright, let's set you up and see what kind of a disaster I can get myself into. Hey, maybe we'll actually do the strip wheel first, because then it'll not put crap into the other stuff. You know when you buy something and you get the giggles? And I mean like the Mr. Bean giggles. That's how I was when I opened this. I was like, oh. I am going to wear a respirator. Probably don't want to breathe this garbage in. Cancer? Never heard of her. Ow. Watch me get filthy. Wow. I would like to really prove and settle an argument that has been going on for years. Now, I am trade qualified, I've been to TAFE, I've done all my training, I know all about data sheets, and when it comes to body filler on steel, so many people get wound up about this, but if you read the data sheet for the product of the body filler you are using, it says put on bare steel. Now, if you want a fine example of what bog on bare steel, like people are talking about putting primer down and then body filler adheres best to bare steel. But it's going to rust under the body filler. Everywhere the bog was, there is no rust. I have a fine example right there. Rust? No rust. See? You can put body filler on bare steel and not worry about rust creeping in. But if you take 6 months between layers, of course you're going to allow moisture to creep in. If you are doing it on the day, bare steel, bog, primer, and then a sealer coat or something to seal up your stuff, and you're not leaving it out in the weather, you will not have rust under your bog. This is bog on bare steel that has been left in the open for years. And do you see a difference? Sorry, I'm getting wound up about this, but I've had so many arguments. But ultimately, do what you like, but I put body filler on bare steel. And I feel like I've made my point. There's a fine example right there. Anyway, enough about that. And of course, it's going to cause controversy because there's a million ways to skin a cat. Yada yada yada. I do what I do, and you do what you do. I'm not going to get into an argument over it. But anyway, right. So, like I said, we have some pretty horrendous surface rust, and everywhere the body filler was, exactly like I thought, which I was just ranting about 2 seconds ago, is pretty good. So I knew this was heavy. I knew that the rust converter probably wasn't going to be able to do it on its own. So I'm going to be doing a combination of mechanical and rust converter. So I'm going to actually put some jungle juice on this in a second, and then we're going to leave it for half hour, and then we'll come back and check on it. I might go to blow all that stuff. I'm going to put some straight onto this, just to see what it does straight to that, and on this stuff that's had the top, but you can see how pitted it is. It's pretty gnarly. But anyway, let me set it up, and I'll get back to you with some results. Right, let's try this tiny bottle of Rust Blast power. It's not powder. Use my English. Rust Blast liquid. Now I use this. This is the same stuff you get in the fuel tank repair kits. Amazing stuff. And what you need to remember with rust converter and stuff, don't expect it done in 5 minutes. If you put it on, it's like, yeah, it's not working. It's a chemical. It takes time. Just like everything in life. Anything that goes quickly is your life. Now, I'm winging this backyard stuff, so come with me on a journey of discovery. Let's see what it'll do. Yeah. Don't really care if it goes on the ground, because it's environmentally friendly. The joys of some of these new stuff. Does spread quite nicely. Like good Vegemite, I guess. If you're wondering why I'm rambling a lot, it's because I'm still extremely nervous talking on camera. Now, what I'm going to do is put that there gently, get one of my rags. Place that on that, and I'm going to wet said rag with the same stuff. Hopefully it doesn't dry. Well, at least works, I guess. Get that top there. One thing I noted while I was grinding and cleaning, the rear wheel arches don't have any rust in them. It's almost calendar worthy to mark and note, because this will be the first coupe in a long time that isn't going to need both its rear wheel arches changed. It's incredibly rare. I know it's riveting stuff, all this, isn't it? Because the next one I'm going to use Rust Blast powder. No, not Rust Blast powder, Action Gel. I don't know why I got Rust Blast powder stuck in my head, maybe because I love it so. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Who knows? Yes, right. That is wet. Do we agree? Yes. I'm just going to go wash this out and then switch to the Action Gel. And we're back. Now this stuff's pretty good because it's sort of like, kind of like a gel. Hey, a very, very runny gel. It tends to stay there a bit better. Now see, it's working already. I know this stuff works well, which is why I bought it. So that's kind of why. But I wanted to try the other stuff, so you know. Now I'm going to try this just straight on there. Straight on the old rust. Now I think you've got to neutralise this with water, which I always thought was funny, but you sort of want to keep moisture away from bare steel. So I'm going to put the rag on this, leave that one exactly how it is. Like I'm going to do the rag like I did to this with that. So we've got Rust Blast, Action Gel, and straight Action Gel straight on the quarter panel. And then we're going to go away and come back later. Just put a bit more. Get a nice straight line, yeah. So Daddy likes. Actually, I didn't even need the paint pot. How about that? Mud rag. You can see it works. It's already turning the colour of the brush to a sort of rusty colour. Now, you could say that, Graham, why don't you just sandblast it? Well, this is more for the people who don't have sandblasting money, because if you don't know, sandblasting cars is not a cheap pastime. Last time I was getting cars sandblasted was like $3,000 just for a bare shell. Which is pretty good, but that's a hell of a lot of money. And then you've got to go take the car to them, pick it up, all the stuff. So it's a bit of an expensive pastime. So this restoration is more geared for those people at home who would like a little bit of help, or the professionals who want something to laugh at. Either way, I'm going to make people happy. Or sad. Let's find out. Right. Enough chit chat, paperwork, give the dog a bone. We'll come back in 45, thereabouts. Right. See ya. Right, we've been waiting a while. I have a suspicion that straight on nothing, probably not going to do a lot. I also forgot to buy Scotch Brite. Not the end of the world, but let's just see what a wet rag. Oh, it's warm. Okay, it didn't do nothing. Okay, it definitely actually did something, but not a huge amount. Yes, it actually did do something. Started eating through it. I imagine if you kept applying it and doing it multiple times, you can definitely see where it was. It's definitely eaten some of the heavy stuff off. So that went better than expected. And we'll just pick you up and go you over here, where I suspect you'll have had much better success. Do remember this stuff takes quite a while to work. Okay, so I think the Action Gel might be the winner so far. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Rust Blast. I'm not sold on. I mean, I know it works, but Rust Blast seems to work extremely well. Oh, you can actually see where it has got through it, I assure you. And what it's done, where it was like this lighter rust, absolutely just gone. So a bit of, yeah, I'll have to say, it's going to take a bit to get through the heavy stuff, but the light stuff, brilliant. Now, this is where I think Action Gel. Sorry, that was Rust Blast. This is Action Gel. And I think Action Gel might be the one coming out in front, especially on the heavy stuff. Yep. Definitely did some good there. Just going to put that there. Just grab this here drill. Yikes. Let's see. It tends to soften it so you can wipe it off. Yeah, it's going to take many goes to get this stuff off. But what I might do, just so the video is not doesn't feel like a failure, so we've ground it off with a purple wheel, we've coated it with rust converter, Action Gel versus Rust Blast. Rust Blast for light surface rust, I think absolutely is awesome. I reckon it probably would have done better if I'd kept coming out and wetting it, but I just wanted to see what letting it go does. But I'm going to reapply Action Gel to here and give it another half hour and see what that does. And then we'll probably round out the video there, and then I'll have to just keep progressing through this and try my best. I do know that although these wheels on slow things work well, those on angle grinders, which go significantly faster, although heat the hell out of the panel, do work extremely well too. So, I mean, we can run, I can dry it, or with this rag, doesn't matter. And I can put the big wheel back over it again, and then apply the stuff again, which is what I might do. Just bear with me, folks. I'm not going to bother with the mask. I'm not going to use it for long enough to be a problem. Definitely worked wonders right there, and it is coming off. You might wonder why I chose not to sandblast too. I ain't made of money. But 3, I get a bit worried about sandblaster on pretty heavily pitted, because it's already thin. A sandblaster tends to heat it up, and it could deform the panel through there, and then I might be up for a whole new quarter panel, which is a good chunk of change. And this car doesn't deserve a quarter panel because it's only a Povo pack. If it was a GT Falcon or something special, probably would have just put a quarter panel on it. So, where's my action gel? It's over here. Oh no, it's idiot proof. Uh-oh. Probably went a bit extreme there. Ah! Definitely getting through the rust. I'll just do it across the whole thing now. I did wonder whether I should do a time lapse, but I don't know if you'll see that much of a difference. But I could. Go away, mosquito. Mosquito. Right, you go there. And this time I'm just going to let it go and see what it does. See you in half hour, chaps. Well, I tested a bit of time lapse there. I'm going to have to obviously get this is before I've edited it, but I'm going to speed it up so at least you can see it. It may not have worked, but you know, I didn't expect you to be able to actually see too much. But here we go. We'll just wash this stuff off again. And we are getting through it. It's going to take more than a video's worth of time to get through this, but I'm absolutely getting through it finally. That's only really 2 goes over it, so we're making progress. It's slowly falling off. Well, not falling off, slowly coming off. And I did this up here for a bit of fun. I just wiped it straight on the rust stains, pretty much took them straight off. And I did put another bit over here just for fun. Hoik. And you can see it actually eats the rust stains off of the bog. So it is getting through it. It's just going to take some doing. And that's with no mechanical advantage, and it is taking it off just a hell of a lot slower. But if you look at this side, if you just stand back, I think we're getting there. Now the last bit is I did some more rust blast. And I think this side's got quite a bit of paint on it, of whatever the hell was spilled on it, so I don't really know. No mechanical advantage, just so somebody sprayed some like silver paint on it at some point. Sometimes when cars sit around, they become tables. getting there. It's just going to take some doing. Sorry, it's not the most enthralling video, but I hope some people out there like the testing out of products. I must say that, just so I can see it on camera, Action Gel, pretty bloody good actually. I still find my favourite rust converter or rust eater is actually citric acid. From my experience that works the best, but for what this is, I have to say that Action Gel has worked quite well. And you remember how heavy that was? We are definitely getting through it. See, it's now becoming a much lighter brown. So, oh, there's a good before and after. Before, after. We will get it off. So, I'm going to love you and leave you, chaps. And stay tuned for more. We do have a lot of content to do on this car, including a will it start in that engine. Or at least a let's look at it and see how effed it is. Anyway, like, share and subscribe if you like this kind of content, a bit more down to earth, a bit more relatable. Let me know. I'll see you around, chaps.